Should we work hard or should we work smart? That is the $1,000,000 question. That's a question that's been asked for decades, if not generations. And I think that question is on a lot of people's minds these days because let's face it, the economy is tough, right? We know that our money does not go as far as it used to, as it did a couple years ago. And so when it comes to working hard or smart, the answer is it depends. It depends on what game you're playing. Are you playing the short game, just trying to keep your head above water? Or are you looking to play the long game to set yourself up now or begin to do the work of setting yourself up that will carry you into the future in a way that you can count on more assuredly than you can right now? Because when we think about the jobs that we do now, are you doing the kind of work that you always dreamed of, that when they asked you when you were a kid, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? Are you doing that today? Probably not. Most of us are not. However, when it comes to expertise, when it comes to experience, the things that we've learned over the years about work, about life, about ourselves, maybe even our current situation. Are you married? Do you have kids? Are you single? Do you have free time? I don't know. But whatever your situation is, you need to assess that now, because there's never been a time like today that many of us are going to have to make a transformation. And the term that is used for this is transdisciplinarity, our ability to reinvent ourselves frequently. The University of Phoenix said about 10 years ago that some of the skills that we would need during this decade, the 2020s, one of them was transdisciplinarity, the ability to reinvent yourself every couple years. And when we look at the national debt, we look at student loan debt, we see more people in America right now are moonlighting, working second and third gigs than ever before. We see people defaulting on credit card debt, foreclosures rising. It's kind of wild out there right now. And so we also know, don't let me forget, that AI is right around the corner, and it is set to revolutionize the world in some monster ways, and we don't yet know assuredly how that's going to affect us. But one thing we do know is that there is nobody who can be better at being you than you. However, what I've titled this lesson, if you will, or this show, this episode, is the mystery of discretionary effort. Because the question we have to ask is, am I afraid of what is on the horizon, or have I decided to prepare for whatever might come? And in preparation, that means that I'm deploying my discretionary effort in a way that is going to slowly but surely make me better at whatever it is that is in alignment with who I am, my personality, attitude, my education, my expertise, my experience, the people I've met, the relationships that I have, the thing that I enjoy to do. Dare I say, my ikigai, right, is what they call it in Japanese. The thing that I can get paid for, that I like to do, that will also be beneficial to the world. That is the thing that we need to begin to think about and step back and assess ourselves in such a way that we start deploying our discretionary effort on a regular basis towards that. So, what is this discretionary effort? That is the effort that I use, that I have, that is over and above the effort that is necessary for me to sustain. For example, you wake up in the morning, you get dressed, you might get your kids dressed out of the house, then you get in the car, you drive to work, you perform at a high level whatever the tasks that are associated with your job. You get back in the car, you come home, you say hi to the kids, help with some homework, maybe cook dinner, and now you only have a couple hours left before it's time to go to bed and do it again. What do you do with those couple hours? Is that TV time? Is that scrolling on social media time? Or have you discovered or began to discover that thing that you should be aiming at in terms of what skill you might need to learn, what discipline you might need to embody, what mental work that has to be done to just be able to maybe put your mind in the place or yourself in the place where you can begin to even start the work. And what do I mean by that? There's been days, this video in particular, I was supposed to record 5 days ago, but I just wasn't in the mental space. And what you'll learn from any successful person, whether that's in business, in athletics, in the gym, whatever people do who've been successful at it, they say that your feelings don't matter. It needs to be done. You have to be disciplined in such a way that whether you feel like it or not, you show up. And I think that we know that intuitively, and we do that for the things that have to be done. When it comes to going to work because you know you have to pay the rent, you know you need to pay for food, you have kids or mouths to feed, no matter how you feel, you get there and you get it done. But the question is, can we take that same level of urgency and importance and place that onto the thing that is going to get us into a place of security, to earn us more money, or to get us out of the gig that we're doing into the career or the vocation that we know we were called to do, or the thing that we know that is what we are gifted to do, yet we've just been doing what we've had to do. And we're like, there's just not enough time in the day. And I think there is. I think there's an hour or two that if we could get disciplined, that we could deploy that specifically towards reading, learning, skilling up, or if you already have those skills, marketing, advertising, or rolling out that other thing, beginning to operate or function in it. Discretionary effort. It's discretionary because you have the choice in terms of what you want to do with it. You can lay down, you can go to the beach, you can watch TV, you can get on social media, but I think right now, today, we should be using that towards getting equipped for what is to come. Let me play a video by a guy named Mike Rowe. I think you've heard of Mike Rowe from the show called Dirty Jobs. Listen to what he has to say about what's going on in the economy and what's happening with people today. Let's take a listen.
What we're here for. You said something interesting about four-year college degrees. You say they are shameful, or they are seen as shameful. That's strong stuff.
Well, I just mentioned PR with regard to utilities. That's what I was talking about with degrees. I'm not saying that there's anything inherently shameful about getting one, but I do think from a PR standpoint, something really interesting has happened. I've been talking about it for a long time, but in higher ed, everything is based.
Look at the cost of college today. $104,000 for a four-year degree in an in-state school. $223,000? What job are you going to work when you get out of school that you're going to be able to pay that back in less than a lifetime? If you're not doing STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, I don't think there's a degree that's worth it. Let's listen.
On the perception of value around the credential. Sure. And that perception is tied very specifically to the belief that it makes you knowledgeable. You get the degree, it's a reflection of your intellect, your wisdom, your knowledge. I think that's over. I think that connection no longer exists in the minds of many millions of parents. I think they're starting to see the degree as a thing you purchase in a very transactional way, in the same way that I believe a lot of universities have come to see their students as consumers. And so,
do you hear that? That the universities see you as consumers. Dare I say, I think they're starting to see us or our children as suckers, especially if our children are going to school to get an education degree so that they can teach. Well, we know that teachers are struggling to get paid what they're worth. How are you going to have a $50,000 a year job teaching shamefully, because I'm not saying shame on the teachers, but shame on these districts and these municipalities. But how are you going to pay back $100,000 in student loans and you have to live and teach? right? And so interesting thing that he says here about this social connection with having the degree and it meaning that you're knowledgeable. And it was kind of a status symbol in years past. But at this point, I think people, as he said, are beginning to see that decoupling, that now people are like, listen, it's about being able to make ends meet. And not only ends meet, I didn't go to school to make ends meet. I went to school so that I could do well, so that I wasn't going to have to worry about keeping a roof over my head. The amount of millennials right now that are struggling with student loan debt, rent prices, food prices, we're talking about college educated people that are struggling. It's staggering. And it's more important not what the degree is. It's more important not what people think of me is. The most important thing is, who do I know that I am, that I've been called to do, that I'm going to do that thing well? That's where my focus needs to be. That's what I need to be educating, or at least curating my own education around. As the great speaker Jim Rohn said, that a formal education will make you a living, but it's a self-education that's going to make you a fortune. It's time to begin to educate yourself in the thing that you are called to do, that you've been gifted to do. Scott Galloway, the professor at NYU Stern School of Business, he's also a podcaster, author. He said to a group of students at NYU once in a talk that he was doing, he said, do not make the mistake of receiving advice from whoever gives it to you, parents, speakers, billionaires, whoever is telling you to follow your passion. He said, and I quote, that is utter bullshit, unquote. And what he meant by that is that when people are following their passion, well, as soon as you don't like it any more than you say, oh, well, this is not my passion anymore, so I guess I'll go and do something else. The older you get, the less times that you have to start over again. But the key here is, according to Galloway, is to find something you're good at and then spend the thousands of hours becoming a master at it. And then you're going to get the respect, the financial compensation, all the accoutrements, accolades, and things that go along with being good at something that people are going to be able to utilize, that also makes your community, your house, your society a little bit better. Let's listen.
So what's gotten arbitraged, if you will, out of the whole conversation is the actual knowledge that you would assume comes with a degree. We were mentioning earlier, right, not to pick on Harvard, but in 1955, the average GPA among the graduates was 2.55. Today, it's 3.8%.
What?
Look,
Everyone gets an A.
A lot of people are getting A's. A lot of legacies are going through. We just saw the president being defended by the Harvard Corporation over 50 counts of plagiarism. We saw the anti-Semitic thing. Put it all together, and you find a lot of alumni not only holding back on donations, but they're taking their degree off of the wall, frankly, because they're tired of talking about this. That's a PR problem, and if higher ed doesn't take it seriously, the chickens will come home to roost.
To me, the big breakdown in higher education came during the pandemic. When the schools were closed, the kids had to mask up, they didn't go, they lost the university experience. I think the breakdown in higher education started then. You with me?
New York University raised its tuition during Zoom classes. At some point, you've got to look at the people who are paying the bills. It's almost like they're being dared, right? It's like, how much further will it go? Meanwhile, in my little tiny world, we offer work ethic scholarships for kids who want to learn a skill that's in demand. The foundation's never been more robust. We're giving away another $1 million at the end of the month for these kinds of scholarships. They're not sexy. They're like Euthrilities, Mark, right? They're just, they're there. But welders, steam fitters, pipe fitters, heating, air conditioning, electric. Our country is built on those things. Yep. Whether they're sexy or not, the opportunities exist. There's a path to six figures, and it's shorter than you think.
SHOP disappeared from high school. Well, it didn't disappear.
That's shameful what he just said about NYU. right? Funny, I'd quote Scott Galloway, who is a professor at NYU, but they raised their tuition during the pandemic when people weren't even coming to class. They were doing it online. But I really like what he mentioned about his foundation, because if you think about it, this desire for the quote unquote sexy degree from the school that has the name recognition, you know, it's not a guarantee that you're going to do well in life. But what his foundation is doing, they're giving out scholarships for people who are going to do work that we know without a doubt needs to be done. HVAC, plumbers, pipe fitters, framers, roofers, that kind of thing. And we know what's going on with the United States infrastructure, that it's failing. It's old. We also know, because of the amount of people with these fancy degrees, that they're not going to do the kind of work that he is giving scholarships away for. You're talking about a boon, a path to wealth. If you want to go that route, if you start looking at the trades, if you're a young man, even if you are an able-bodied middle-aged person, it still might not be too late. I don't know. But the point that I want to make with this video is we have to begin to utilize our discretionary effort in a way that is going to take us into a place where we're doing something that we know matters versus just punching the clock day after day. I'm not telling anybody to quit. I'm telling you to first get equipped, get skilled, so that you can be ready when opportunity knocks. Right now, ask yourself, if someone was to give you an opportunity tomorrow, could you walk through that door? Or are you just not ready yet? And so my plea, my advice to you today is to begin to deploy your discretionary effort in a way that is going to have you prepared in a year, 2 years, to make a move into something that you know that matters, that is also going to give you the compensation that you know that you deserve if you've put in the work and if you are delivering the kind of service or product to the community or to your client, customer, end user that they are going to get value from. I don't know. This is just something that's on my mind. I think I'm going to turn this into a series, the mystery of discretionary effort. And so we'll see what comes of it. But as you can see here on the slide, when it comes to the effort, it feels like sometimes these days that you're pushing that boulder up a hill and only for you to find out that it just rolls back down. And that's typically the way it works when we are doing the kind of work that we don't feel matters, right? You're just Groundhog's Day. I know I'm tired of it. How about you? Listen, my name is Carl Ladding. I'm so glad that you chose to tune in today. We'll see you guys next time. Have a wonderful day.